We all know extraordinary people who do extraordinary things. They may not be famous or wealthy or powerful, but they have a generosity of spirit and a capacity for love that is awe-inspiring. Whether it's a friend who goes out of their way to help others or a complete stranger who does something kind and unexpected, these are the people who remind us that there is still goodness in the world. Meeting ordinary people who do extraordinary things is always a special experience, one that inspires hope and reminds us of our own potential to make a difference. Join me in taking a deep dive into why these special individuals do what they do. There's no denying that the world could use more kindness, and it all starts with each of us. My name's Irene Meyer, and I'm here to deliver stories about regular people who do inspiring things every day. Hello, everybody. I actually am so excited to invite my friend Khaled here on my channel. I've been watching him for now a few years, and it's interesting because it wasn't until a few months ago we actually met in person. So we met in the whole era of COVID, and from his journey, I saw him go from financial services person to what he does now, which I'm excited to explore. And I truly believe that with our country, Canada, where most of it is about diversity, I truly believe what he does is so impactful when it comes to making sure that the people who are welcomed and new to Canada are just as equipped to succeed, because that's really why they come here, right? They come here for the opportunity, they come here for the success that they hope to achieve while they're here. But there are certain things that I think everybody, not just newcomers to Canada, but everybody needs to know about how to navigate through challenges. And so I'm really excited to invite Khaled here. We have a few things in common. We both have a background in financial services, but I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about his background. Khaled, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm really excited to show my viewers the value you bring to the table, more so because you have such a big heart, and I've seen it even just through your social media. But as we talk even more and more, we have the same mission and vision is to serve other people. So before we jump into that, I'd love for you to share your story about your journey from when you did land in Canada, why you came to Canada, and then up until now.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was really like a great experience when I know you. And I find you as a person who has energy, who loves to inspire other people. And that's where I think we are connected. And I was following you a long time, that you keep trying to help people. And I learned a lot from you, being persistent, keeping your focus. So I appreciate your work. So for me, I'm from Bangladesh. I did my MBA back home, and I used to work in a telecom industry. I studied in marketing. My background is marketing. I did my MBA and undergrad in marketing. I was always looking for challenges, what I can do next, explore my life, and I try to add some spices throughout my life. That was my intention. There are people who just sit in an office and get salaries. I'm not that type of guy. I don't worry about money. Of course, money is needed, but I have a limit that I can survive. And then once I find out that this is my niche, and when I secured that part, I find out this is my time to explore. I need to see what's out there. I need to challenge myself. I was looking to the people who are really exploring, who are really dynamic, who are really changing the world. So I don't know what I will do in future, but within last 10, 15 years, I transformed many people's life. Back home, beside my job, I was a very successful businessman back home, but the journey was not really always very good. And there are challenges. I lost money. I trusted some people who didn't do well. So those experiences were there. So I had to be seasoned by facing trouble in my life. And there was a time when I find that I was not happy with the things that I was doing. The most number one thing was not about money. It was all about my identity. I was thinking, do I want to be known by this? Should I want to be called a manager or a general manager or CEO? So that stuck in my head. And I was thinking, when my kids will grow up, they may not like my identity. and I may not be happy with the things that I'm doing. So I decided to move from my country and see what's out there, because Canada is one of the developed country in the world. There is no reason, a special reason, but I have some love for Canadians long ago. Canada is a peaceful country. Canadians are good. I lost my father when I was very young. So my mother was younger. She had only two kids. She worked hard to raise me, and she was like a fighter. And that really was something I think pushed me forward. I was established son. I was taking care of my mother. And then when I decided to go abroad, that I am applying for Canada, then my mother said that your father had a dream. So my mother said that your father had a plan to send you abroad for study, but he expired. So that dream was there in my mother's mind. But I was thinking, like, how come my mother say that, okay, you go? And my mother like, will not miss me. And she said, I know wherever you go, you'll take care of me. And I want to see you really do well. I believe that you have such a good brain. God give you some gifts. You're academically very sound. So I wish you all the best. I quit my job after working 9.5 years in that company. I started my business. I was being part-time, but then I quit my job and tried to be full-time in my business. And within the first 3 months, I did such a good business, and that deal paid for, which would be equivalent to my 1 year salary. And it blew my mind. What I did in the last 10 years, I have wasted. Like, why didn't I do this before? I was not happy inside that I wasted my life. So I can struggle, but if I really shine, I would be able to help other people. But if I work for someone, I may not be able to do that much. I quit my job, I started business. In the meantime, I got selected for Canadian immigration. And it was a sad thing. You are settled back home and you're moving to a new country. But I wanted to take the challenge, but I was missing my mother a lot. I love my mother a lot, and she's my idol. She worked her life to raise me, and I tried my best to support her. But after moving to Canada, within 6 months, my mother expired. So I had a dream to bring her here, but I couldn't do that. And that is something that changed my life. There was many dreams, but once I lose my mother, that I was sad for a couple of years. And then I reflect on myself that my mother had dreamed in my country. So I was not happy back home. And there was a time when my mother told me that if you go to Canada, do business there. So that was always in my brain. That if I'll be able to set myself here, I'll be settled, and then I will start my business. So I came here with my family. Then I started working with Sears for 2-3 months. In the meantime, I got a job in the bank. I got the job in CIBC Bank, and then worked with CIBC near about, I think, 7 years. Then I went to BMO. I worked there for 2.5 years ish. Then I quit again. In the meantime, I was trying to build my business. So I was an entrepreneur from 2016 in Canada. I was trying to make a side. So down the line, I have a plan to leave my job and go to the business. So I become a car dealer. So I got a license to buy wholesale cars and then sell it to the retail auction. And then that can give me some money to work for my business. And you need always some working capital to do some business. But I know, as a previous businessman, I know how to raise funds. I know how to sell a project to other people. That was a tough job, like working, business setting. Like I was running like crazy. After a year, I quit CIBC and then I started a restaurant in the South Side. And it was the first, I think, full-fledged restaurant for my community. And then after 2 years of running, COVID came. I was feeling like restaurant is not something I really want to be. Restaurant is a 24 hours job. So I find that owning a restaurant is not a business, rather it's a job. This is not my industry. So I sell my restaurant, and then look into other things. It was always in my brain that when I settle down, I would go to the immigration to help my people. So I find out now my time is coming. So I went back to the school, got this license of immigration consultancy. I think it was a 9 months course. I did. I never wanted to take loans for my study. That was one of the reason when I came to Canada. I didn't wanted to study because there is no point. I don't want to buy a certificate for money when I can read a book and get the knowledge. I understood that. And I see the billionaires and millionaires, they don't study for certificates. So it was always in my mind. I don't want to you need knowledge, not a certificate. But sometimes you need a certificate to do some kind of jobs just to be regulated. I got the license. Sorry, I went back to the school. When I decided to sell my restaurant and then got the license and then have offices around the world, because immigration is in Canada, you can bring people from anywhere. So this whole world will be your market. I thought, find out that I was always thinking that how can I become global and help people around the world? I like to talk to people. I like to advise people. That was always in my blood. I think I can suggest people right things. About immigration, I used to do it throughout the last 10 years. I even without the license, I used to help people, but I never charged people. I guided around more than 100 people to come to Canada without even taking any fees because I didn't have the license to charge them. So I find out, okay, people need this service. And this is a huge industry. At least next 20 years, Canada will bring people. And people have to come here, especially my country. My country has tons of people. They're educated. We just need to train them and show them the way. In that way, I can earn money, my living. And then there will be like, even if throughout my life in next 10 years, if I can help 500 families or 1,000 families, that would be good enough. And they will bring millions of people, like 1,000 families, and they will guide more people. They will be example for others. I started my immigration business.
Gotcha. A lot of personal story there, being someone who's new to Canada over 10 years ago now. Walk me through what it would look like if somebody were to work with you. If somebody said to you, I don't know what you do, but I think you can help me. How would you start walking them through the process?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for asking. It's a very important question, basically. Most of us, we're immigrant, maybe first generation, second generation, third generation. So we have some families somewhere in the world and they want to come. So that is where it comes. Anybody like have friends, families, and wherever I go, I find that when I give my card or somebody asks me, what are you doing? What is your profession? When I say that this is what I am doing, oh, I have a friend. They ask me questions. And so, yesterday I was in the mosque, and one of my friend from Pakistan, he showed me he got near about 100 texts from his family circles or friend circles. They want to move to Canada. You just have to book an appointment with me or forward those guys to me. So I was facing that I need to teach people that the most important thing is information, suggestions. This is the most important thing. You can buy anything in life, but getting a expert advice is the most important thing you can get from from the world. People has this need, and there are tons of people around the world. They need people like us to get the right direction. Immigration applications, doing the right application is really simple. Anybody can do that. It is doing personal tax. You can do it by yourself, or you can go to an expert. If you go to an expert, what will happen? You may not make a mistake, and you may not lose some extra money from the government because you don't know. So immigration is like that. If somebody want to do his own due diligence and read through everything, they can do these applications themselves. But now it is vast. It is a big industry. So most of the people, they have higher age. They may be more than 30 years or near 40, 45 years. They may have good education, good experience, but might have English language skill is not good enough. So you need to cater based on the individual need. So if somebody wants to really come to Canada, they should talk to an regulated Canadian immigration consultant or a lawyer, so that they'll not be, there are so many fake people around the out there, and they look better than us. They look better than us. They have so much marketing. They make better videos than us, because we don't have, I don't have time to make videos for just to show off.
You mentioned scam, and this is one of the reasons why I trust you so much to do this interview with me, because I've heard stories like, or someone doesn't talk to somebody with the right intention, like yourself. Is there, and I mean, without sharing personal information, is there any examples that you can think of where you've met somebody who was maybe a fish, like previously dealing with somebody like you, but was told or given bad advice?
I have so many examples. What are the common things people were caught out there? So one thing, let me just mention about, I think recently it happened with a guy from India. So what they did, when you apply for immigration, there is a requirement for biometric. So once you submit your application, then the Canadian Immigration Department automatically check out the primary requirements. If everything is filled, the application was successfully done, then they sent a letter to the individual, the applicant, that you have to do biometric, your fingertips and face picture and blah, blah, blah. They will do that. So in that part of Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, Philippines, general people, they don't know how these things work. So those fake consultants, what they do, they take this request of biometric, that okay, we just applied within a week, you got this letter from the immigration department, so they're interested on you, they want to take you, so you need to go to the Canadian office. So for these fingertips, in each country, in main cities, there are selected offices assigned by the Canadian government. So mostly through the Canadian embassies, they have some offices. So what they do with that letter, that applicant go to the Canadian the agency office to do his biometric or her biometric, and they feel like, oh my God, it's a Canadian office, so that means it's real. So they go there, do their biometric, and then to do this process, those consultants, they charge them, okay, you're halfway, so now you need to pay me $5,000 because you're halfway. So just imagine. So this is happening, like when there's a guy, he was texting me, and then I want to find, I just need to talk to you 5 minutes. Whatever money you charge, I'll give you. Then I find, okay, he's a guy from India. It's okay. I feel like he's in crisis. I called him back, and he was so like appreciative. He told me like, I appreciate that you called me back. I'll pray for you, blah, 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 like that. He appreciated like that. And he said, I got my biometric done last month and I'm waiting. They said that it shouldn't take long. And brother, can you please tell me how long I have to wait to go to Canada? I said, I'm sorry to tell you, brother, biometric is a process of the application. It's not a guarantee, or it's not a confirmation from the Canadian government that you're going to be selected for immigration to Canada. Once you submit an application, that is the process. That is the secondary process you have to fill to make sure that your application is done properly. Then he was like, I paid them already $5,000.
He paid the consultant or
yeah. He consulted in India. He already paid. He paid the money.
Wow.
And then I'll add another part of this story is in my country, there are thousands of agencies like that, and they don't to do or work for this industry, immigration industry, they don't need any certification. There is no regulation. Anybody can open a consultancy anytime. At night, if they feel, oh, Canada is taking people, now is the time. And they have tons of money. They will go to the social medias and in newspapers and online media, and they do so much marketing, and they get tons, like hundreds of applicants, and from each applicant they take maybe $1,000. So if you get $1,000 from 100 people, that is $100,000.
Oh wow.
So that's what they do. So they have connection with some fake medical institution as well. So Once a applicant go to there, they fill the applications and everything, and then they send them to the medical institute to do medical.
Wow. Just to summarize what you just said, you're telling me that there are people out there, whether they're in Canada or in other countries, where they just open up their own consultant agency. They don't have any kind of license because it's not required. And basically, they just help the person fill out an application. They even add different steps to the application and charge for those extra steps that may be not required. And then somehow the client also is made to believe that this is all normal, that, yeah, these fees are standard.
Yeah,
So when it comes down to somebody who, let's say that, and I deal with a lot of students, and I think it's just changing gears a little bit, but I deal with a lot of students who come to Canada on a student visa to study here, and then they come here and they want to stay. Now, help me clarify, at what point do they reach out to someone like you to talk about how do I stay?
okay, thank you. This is another very, like, you're asking really very good questions. Thank you. So for students, most people from our part of the countries, what they think, and that you need a very prestigious Canadian degree. Once you have a Canadian degree, you get respect and so many opportunities back home, or you will have your prestige will go like up. People will be saluting you throughout the road like that. The first mistake people do from our countries, they try to get higher degrees. They don't think about job oriented degrees, rather they think about prestige. So they want to take post like grade master's degrees, or sometimes they do PhDs just to, I am a PhD, I have a doctorate degree, I have a MBA. So those kind of feeling they have, they don't do their study or certification or diplomas for their life, rather they do it for society, for other people. So that is the first mistake people do. When people come to me, I find many students, they came from Asia, and they were enrolled in a course that is really not their sector, or they in future they may not want to work in those sectors. I have a friend from my country, and he used to be my colleague from back home. He had a master's degree from back home in commerce, and then he came here. He got into a science course. He got a first loan for his first course, and then after that he was looking for a job. He couldn't get it, and somebody told him that why don't you do a project management course? He did a project management course. So that was his second loan for study. Like it took near 20,000 or 30,000 or $40,000 loan from the government. So he already had near about $60,000 to $70,000 loans. So second course he did on project management, and after that he couldn't get a job in Ontario.
Oh my gosh.
And then he was like, what can I do? What should I do? So he connected with me, and I told him, what is your intention? Somebody told me to do project management because so that I can get a job. I said, why don't you think that you may not like it after 3 4 years? So he did his back home commerce course was in accounting and finance. So I said, this was your sector, man. Like, why did you went to different sectors? Finances is some kind of course that every company is require. Accounting is something that once you have an accounting degree, you can be an assistant of a tax CPA. For students, the most important thing is doing his first research, where he wants to go, that what would be my future, how it look like. Do I want to be an engineer or a finance manager or a accountant or a banker? What do you want to do? That is the first thing. Mostly our parents, they will tell you, oh, I want to see my son to be an engineer. Man, this is your life. You need to live your life. So whoever is coming to Canada to study, this is the first groundwork they should do. And to do that, they should talk to an expert like us or a financial advisor like you, so that they will understand the background, the what's going on in Canada. What are the things they should think? So in Canada, there's a code called DLI, Designated Learning Institute. So Canadian government certified this institution to be legitimate and having a standard of study. So if an institute has DLI number, then you can study there and you will definitely have a good future. It calls DLI. Whoever is coming to Canada, I would suggest that don't go for big degrees. For example, if you take a accounting technology degree or hospitality management degree, management finance degree from NATE, you will instantly get a job.
Right.
For example, if you take a accounting technology degree or hospitality management degree, management finance degree from NATE, you will instantly get a job.
Right.
But if you get a degree from maybe Toronto University, so you'll be highly qualified, and your job industry will be very tiny or narrowed down, because you companies have to pay you more, or they will think that they have a bigger chance that you will get more opportunities and you leave.
Right.
Okay.
I never thought about it that way. Isn't that interesting? And it's interesting when I talk to students who are just getting out of school, looking for that job now in their industry. They're still working in the fast food restaurant, which is 100% like fine. But of course, it pays so much money to be in Canada, so much money to go to school. And now they have to go and prove that their education was worth it. One of the things I come across, because it's interesting how we're coming full circle as we summarize here a little bit. You had this dream of being an entrepreneur. And when I talk to a lot of students, sometimes I'll dig again, just like you. I open up the entire picture, and I find out a lot of students, a lot of people from other countries, like the Philippines, like India, like Asian countries, they all want a business. They all want to have freedom of time, freedom to make as much income as they want because their family back home had a business. But then they come here, they go to school so that they can be trained to go find a job that they may not find. It's interesting when I approach them about possibly running their own business, that they're still looking for that guaranteed jobs. Can you tell me a little bit more about that mindset? Like, where did that come from? I understand where it came from for me, but I don't know if it's that much different or if it's entirely different coming from a different country. What is it about that if they have this dream to own their own business, but they come here to be trained to find a job, and they can't find the job, why don't they just go after their own business?
That is interesting. First thing is, the people who are migrating to Canada from our part of the world, most of them are educated and they're very successful back home. So just imagine if most of the people who are coming from our countries, they like the minimum degree, they have a master's degree. So they're engineers, doctors, master's degree holders, they're professionals back home. And then due to the unrest in the society or political environment, they feel insecure for their future family members, for their kids. So they move here.
Right.
After moving here, there are two problems happen. One thing is they had a very good career back home. They might be in the mid level of their career. So they had a good resignation. So in our countries, that is a big thing. Like when you go to somewhere, people look at you by your clothing, by your car, by your job, what kind of job you do, then they respect you based on that. So they have a parameter to respect you, and not based on the person, rather based on the backgrounds or based on the or features that you have. So when they come here, they find that, oh my God, they get a shock instantly. Because in Canada, it doesn't matter what kind of degree you have. So this kind of culture we have. So when they come here, they think, oh no, if I work in a Walmart, then maybe my society or my community people, they will judge me. So that is the first shock they get.
Oh.
And then they feel like, okay, I had a master's degree back home. I cannot work anywhere. I need to work in a good working environment or position. So that is in their brain. So the first breakdown they have, once they don't get that position here, because they're newcomers. Nobody will hire them as a manager at the beginning. So you have to maybe work under a young kid, Canadian kid who is 25 or 30 years old, and you are 45 years, and you feel like, oh my God, and that guy doesn't have degrees like you, but you're reporting him. But in the meantime, some people make mistakes, like they come here and then they go back to school. They go to the school and get admitted to a school somewhere. That's the mistake they do for respect. And then they have a loan and they have to pay back that loan. And that's where they made the mistake and it goes bad.
Today, you just really open up my eyes to what newcomers, new people to Canada or any other country, by the way. I thought I knew because I come from parents who immigrated from the Philippines. They've been here for so long, most of their life, actually. But trying to really dig down to find out how and what you how and what newcomers go through in terms of thought. And it's interesting because I think around the world now, I think that we all kind of struggle or are challenged with the same mentality. It's all about what other people will think, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
there's always the challenge of being defrauded by somebody because you don't know or question it, or you don't know better to question it and trusting versus just going to an expert who, like you, will actually ask very important factual questions versus just tell them what they need and this is what it's going to cost. And as more and more people come to Canada from other countries, we all have to be equipped with this kind of knowledge because you just never know who you're going to help when you introduce them to Khaled. I appreciate your time, Khaled. And like I said, we have to do more of these because you have so much information to give to people, especially my viewers, by the way. I hope all of my friends and family who are watching this today got value. You're going to continue to see value from Khaled, I believe. Please reach out to me if you want Khaled's information. And in fact, I'm going to put Khaled's information in the description below. But thank you so much, Khaled, for being my guest. And I appreciate you, friend. Calling you brother would be an honor. Um, is there anything that you would like to share with my viewers in terms of just basic advice?
Uh, Thank you. Thank you. First thing is I appreciate your intention that we have a plan, we have a vision. So that is something that really touched my heart when I feel it, that this is an opportunity that God gave us to help others. It is such a blessing. Very few people can get to do that. Most people have to think for themselves, for his individual perspective, himself or his family only. Luckily, we have that privilege now that we, after working for ourselves, our family, we have something that we can give for others. So, number one thing I would just mention before closing it, that for our friends who will watch this, share these videos so that people can be guided. It doesn't cost much, right?
That's a wrap. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching. Please share, like Khaled had mentioned, you're going to help someone with a great gift of the knowledge that we just shared with you.
Hey,
good afternoon. I want to go on here.